To start creating your custom challenge, navigate to the Binding of Isaac mods directory. Here you will find all main Isaac folders. If you're watching this video before mods are officially supported in Repentance, navigate to the Afterbirth Plus mods folder. Otherwise, there will be a new folder named Repentance Mods, or create one if it's missing. Inside this folder, create a new folder and give it any name you like. Enter the folder you just created and create another folder named Content. Inside it, create a new text file named challenges.xml. Make sure that the file extension is .xml. Open the file and paste in the template from the video's description. You can add your custom challenges between the challenges tags. Each challenge goes on a new line between these tags, marked with a challenge tag. The main thing you need for each challenge is a name. Let's see how our super cool challenge looks in game. If you're watching this video before modding is added in Repentance, you will need to do a little trick to force enable the custom challenge. This trick is simply deleting the options.ini file from both the Afterbirth Plus and Repentance folders. Now when you launch the game, all mods you have enabled will work. You will need to repeat this procedure each time you launch the game. Remember that this will not be required once modding is officially supported in Repentance, so you can skip this step if you're watching the video in the future. Head over to the Challenges menu and press Tab to bring up the Custom Challenges list. You can see that our new challenge is now available. Naturally, this will be an empty challenge and it will use default settings since we haven't added anything yet. In the next part of the video, I will teach you about the different attributes you can use to customize your challenge. Let's head back to the challenges.xml file. In the beginning of the file, we can see a list of all attributes that can be used to create a custom challenge. These attributes can be entered on the same line that we used to define our custom challenge. Attributes must be separated with spaces and their value must be placed in double quotation marks. Bear in mind that all attributes are optional and you don't have to use them if not needed. Let's start with the most basic attribute, which is the challenge name. This is the same name that will appear in the Custom Challenges menu. Next we have the challenge ID. You don't have to worry about this one unless you're planning to attach some special behavior to your challenge via mod. If you're going to do that, you simply need to insert a unique number here which is not used by any other challenge. The starting items attribute can be used to set which items the player will receive. You need to use the items IDs. For this challenge, we will give the player 3 items: Sad Onion, Sacred Heart and Godhead. You can use platinumgod.co.uk or the Binding of Isaac wiki to find these IDs. We will use the similar attribute, starting trinkets, to give the player the cancer and curved horn trinkets. Bear in mind that you cannot give the player more than 2 trinkets. Next we have the starting pill and starting card attributes that can give the player a card or a pill. The cards can also be runes and other pickups. We're going to give the player the Jero rune by using its ID, which is 33. Now let's set the player type. This controls as which character the player will play. If not set, it will be Isaac by default. You can find the player IDs in the players.xml file. The same goes for other IDs that are used here. Feel free to explore the games.xml files. For this challenge we'll make the player spawn as the keeper whose ID is 14. Let's see what our challenge looks like so far. Everything seems to be working as expected. Let's continue expanding the challenge. Note that you can open up the default challenges.xml file found in the game's files. This contains all the default challenges and you can use them as a reference. The end stage attribute can be used to set on which floor the challenge will end. We want to end our challenge on the mother fight, so we'll set the stage to 8. Next we have the room filter attribute that can prevent certain rooms from spawning. For example, let's disable shops and treasure rooms in our challenge. You can find all the room IDs in the beginning of the file, but bear in mind that not all rooms can be removed. We can do the same with curses. Let's prevent the annoying curse of darkness from appearing by using the curse filter attribute. If you want to prevent more than one curse, you need to combine the curse IDs by using simple maths. For example, using 5 will prevent both Curse of the Lost and Curse of Darkness because their IDs, 4 plus 1 equal to 5. There's also an opposite attribute, get curse, that will force a curse to be enabled all the time. For example, setting this to 16 will enable the hidden curse of the curse that adds spikes to all doors. This is a terrible idea for the keeper, so let's just go ahead and remove that. Next we have the achievements attribute. This is used to lock the challenge if the specified achievements haven't yet been unlocked by the player. The alt path attribute controls whether the challenge will go to Shoal or the Cathedral. It makes the Polaroid or negative appear depending on this option. It can be set to true, which will activate the Cathedral path, or false, which can lead only to Shoal. Not adding this attribute will default to it being set to false. Setting the can shoot attribute to false will make the player blindfolded and unable to shoot any tiers. You should give the player some alternative way of dealing damage if you're going to use this option. Next we have the 4 attributes that control how much health the player will have. The red HP attribute will fill in existing heart containers by the specified amount. This option uses half hearts as a measure, so if you want to fill in 1 full heart container, you will need to type in 2. You can also input a negative number if you want to remove health from existing heart containers. Bear in mind that this attribute does not add any heart containers. It can only refill existing ones. To add new containers, we must use the max HP attribute. This also uses half hearts as a measure. If you specify an odd number, you will still get a full heart container, but only half of it can actually be filled. The soul HP and black HP are pretty straightforward. They add soul hearts and black hearts respectively. Again, they use half hearts as a measure. Next we have the coins attribute, which simply adds coins to the player. Unfortunately, there's currently no attributes for adding bombs and keys. Hopefully we will see these added in a future update. Setting the max damage attribute to true will fix the player's damage to 100. Picking up any damage modifying items will have no effect on the damage stat. There is also an add damage attribute that can add flat damage to the player. The minimum fire rate attribute can be used to fix the player's fire delay to a specific value. The lower the number, the faster the player will be able to shoot tiers. The minimum shot speed attribute works similarly to the max damage option. Setting it to true will fix the player's shot speed stat to 1. Setting the big range attribute to true will give the player plus 10 range. The difficulty attribute sets the challenge's difficulty. 0 stands for normal mode and 1 for hard mode. Setting Mega Satan to true will force the player to fight Mega Satan. It will even give him the 2 key pieces required to open the door. It also removes the final boss from the chest or shoal, so you're forced to enter the Mega Satan fight. Let's disable this option because we're planning on ending the challenge with the mother fight. The last attribute we're going to cover is the secret path attribute. This will force the player to use the new alt path added in Repentance. The player still must acquire the knife pieces manually, otherwise the doors to the next floors will not be opened. There's currently no option to make the challenge go to the beast fight. This is probably going to be added in a future update. Let's see what our final challenge looks like. Everything seems to be working as expected except us not having 2 trinkets because we didn't give ourselves mom's purse, but this is expected behavior. Maybe we should give the challenge a more fitting name. That's the end of this video. For more information and any future updates, I will create a page on the wiki, so make sure to visit and have a look.